Hello, my name is Abe Mashni. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm at the Baldani Law Group studio, aka my office, and we are going to be talking about Jay-Z's famous song 99 Problems. It came out in 2004, and specifically we're going to be talking about the second verse. And so we tried to post this video yesterday, but the good folks at UMG, Universal Music Group, reported it and cited it for copyright infringement. And so obviously I meant no disrespect to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sean Carter Combs. And so please allow me to reintroduce this video without the clips from the song. And so to recap, I'm going to go line by line through the second verse, telling you my thoughts on some of the legal issues the song touches on. And so they're going to be the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, along with some traffic stops, general information. And so to recap, if you like this, if you have any questions, please comment below. If you think it's interesting, I ask you that you share it. And as always, thank you for watching. So with that said, let's get started. Here is the entire verse that we're going to be talking about. Year is 94 and my trunk is raw, and the rear view mirror is the motherfucking law. Got two choices, y'all. Pull over the car or bounce on the double and put the pedal to the floor. And I ain't trying to see no highway chase with Jake, plus I got a few dollars I can fight the case. So I pull over the side of the road. I heard, "Son, do you know what I'm stopping you for? Because I'm young and I'm black and my hat's real low. Do I look like a mind reader, sir? I don't know. Am I under arrest or should I guess some more? Well, you was doing 55 and a 54. License or registration, please step out of the car. Are you carrying a weapon on you? I know a lot of you are. I ain't stepping out of shit. All my papers legit. Well, do you mind if I look around the car a little bit? Well, my glove compartment's locked, so is the trunk in the back. I know my rights. You're going to need a warrant for that. Well, aren't you sharp as a tack? You some type of lawyer or something? Somebody important or something? Well, I ain't passed the bar, but I know a little bit enough to know that you won't illegally search my shit. So we'll see how smart you are when the Canine come. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. Hit me." All right, so let's go to the first verse. The year is 94, and my trunk is raw. The rear view mirror is the motherfucking law. So in these two lines, Jay-Z, he's setting the scene. He's beginning the story. And so in an interview in 2010, he was quoted as saying, "When we did work out of state, we would have everything planned out to the finest detail, but then get caught by a cop for no good reason, like driving 55 and a 54. Of course, the sarcasm in the speed limit being 54 is another way of saying that they were getting pulled over for no good reason. And so he also says that here we have a cop on the turnpike, and he pulls the car over, not because they have drugs, but because the driver's black. And both guys were used to getting their own way. The driver knows he's in the wrong because he shouldn't have the drugs. But there's no such thing as a 54 speed limit. So he was actually doing the speed limit, but he got pulled over for no good reason. And so this is supposedly a true story. And in the music video, it portrays a bunch of kilos of cocaine in the trunk. However, in what Jay-Z said when he was engaged in the activities, he had it in the top level of his sunroof and in a hidden compartment. And so the scene is set, and now we just need to go to verse 3 and 4. Got two choices, y'all. Pull over the car or bounce on the double, put the pedal to the floor. I ain't trying to see no highway chase with Jake. Now, as a side, Jake is code word for police. And so this is the ultimate dilemma. Do you make a run for it, or do you comply and pull over? Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't really seen too many highway chases end very well for the suspect. And so the decision you're going to have to make is going to depend on, or the decision you make will determine what options you have in the court system. If you pull over, you have preserved your Fourth Amendment right. You can, and no matter what happens after you're pulled over, you can fight and file a motion to suppress the stop if it's based on an impermissible reason. And so in order for the police to stop you, they're going to need reasonable and articulable suspicion that a traffic crime has been committed. However, if you bounce on the double, well, your problems are probably going to get a lot worse. First, fleeing and evading in a motor vehicle is a Class D felony in Kentucky, carrying a penalty of 1 to 5 years. Second, you're going to lose your ability to challenge the stop, because by fleeing, that in and of itself is going to give the officer probable cause for the traffic stop. Third, if you attempt to flee and throw the drugs out of the window while you're fleeing, then you're going to open yourself up to additional charges, which is tampering with physical evidence. In Kentucky, again, it's a Class D felony, 1 to 5 years. And so fifth, by fleeing, you open up the possibility that if they catch you, then they could arrest you, then subsequently impound the vehicle and do an inventory search of your vehicle, which would later yield the results of the drugs anyway. So let's go on to the second. Plus, I got a few dollars I can fight the case. Now, what he is referring to is the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution. And what that says is that all criminal defendants are going to have the right to counsel. And if you can't afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. However, if you don't trust your attorney, or if your attorney's overworked, or if your attorney's inexperienced, or if you just don't have faith in the justice system, well, then maybe bouncing on the double sounds like an attractive option. However, Jay-Z says he does have some money to hire his own counsel. And in that split second, the decision that he makes is the smart one, where he's going to pull over to the side of the road. And then if he needs to, subsequently hire an attorney. So I pull over to the side of the road. And at this point, the officer with the flashing lights has shown an outward showing of authority. And at this point, legally speaking, that is when the seizure has begun. And so he now has a Fourth Amendment claim based on the actions. And so without any other information, no matter what happens at the scene, he could at least challenge the stop. I heard, son, do you know what I'm stopping you for? Now, I cannot tell you how many body cams I have seen or police reports that I have read where the answer that the driver gives justifies the stop for whatever reason. And so here, you shouldn't answer the question. In this case, Jay-Z is going to answer, I don't know. You could also say, sir, I don't want to talk about my day. But whatever you do, don't try to minimize the stop. So if you think that you were going 10 miles an hour, you shouldn't tell the officer, well, officer, I think I was only going 5 miles over. Well, you've just admitted to probable cause for the stop. And so that gives the officer justification. He might have already had a laser on you. He might have already been able to testify that you were going too fast or you were weaving. But by that coming out of your mouth, now you've given the officer justification straight from you. And also, in Kentucky, we are a one-party consent state. So you can, in the traffic exchange, you can bring out your phone, you can record the conversation. Here in Lexington, most of the officers are going to have body cam. Surrounding counties, it's kind of hit or miss, but you have every right to record that if you want to preserve that for a later time. Because I'm young and I'm black and my hat real low. Do I look like a mind reader, sir? I don't know. Am I under arrest, or should I guess some more? So there's a lot to unpack on this. And so there's a couple issues that are going to be discussed. And so first off is racial profiling. It is 100% legal for the police to do so, and it happens a lot. And so the Supreme Court in Wren v. United States back in 1996 said that as long as there is objective probable cause for the stop, for instance, like in this case, 1 mile an hour over, the courts may not inquire into the officer's subjective motivation as a basis for a Fourth Amendment suppression claim. So the officer could be extremely racist and only target black people, however, or brown people, or whoever. But as long as the officer can point to probable cause for the stop, whether it be a litany of traffic violations, speeding, weaving, improper turn signal, improper stop, you name it, then it doesn't matter what the officer's subjective basis is. So, and it goes to another point. Am I under arrest, or should I guess some more? So as far as the under arrest aspect, if you are under arrest, then they have a right to search you. And so he's asking, am I under arrest? Because in that case, if he's not, then all they can do is a Terry pat-down search. It's Terry v. Ohio, and that's for officer safety. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Oh, one more point. He says, do I look like a mind reader, sir? I don't know. So he's not self-incriminating himself. He's not saying, well, I think I was speeding, or yeah, I guess I didn't. I was careless. I looked at my phone. He says, I don't know, which is smart. We'll use doing 55 and 54. So what the officer is describing here is reasonable and articulable suspicion that Jay-Z had committed a traffic stop or traffic violation to justify the stop. And so, there's so many, and I've touched on it a little bit before, but there's so many reasons an officer could stop you for a traffic stop. And there's just so many traffic violations to pick from. So officers have dozens of them that they can just kind of pull out and say, oh, you violated this one, whether it be window tinting or the license plate isn't illuminated. I mean, you name it, they could, if they really want to pull you over, they can. So he says, license and registration, step out of the car. Are you carrying a weapon on you? I know a lot of you are. I ain't stepping out of shit. All my papers legit. So unfortunately, this is kind of where Jay-Z stops doing the right thing. When an officer asks you to exit the vehicle for whatever reason, you need to do it. And so the United States Supreme Court in Pennsylvania v. Mims stated that once a motor vehicle has been lawfully detained for a traffic violation, the officers may order the driver to get out of the vehicle without violating any Fourth Amendment prescription of unreasonable searches and seizures. So even though his papers are legit, you got to get out of the car. And so that would have been a problem. So whenever he's talking about, are you carrying a weapon on you? I know a lot of you are. And this kind of brings us back to the Terry v. Ohio. Now, in Terry v. Ohio, the Supreme Court said that weapons pat-downs from an officer, that anytime an officer is in close proximity with somebody and they have reasonable and articulable suspicion that the person may be armed and dangerous, they can have them get out of the car, pat them down for any weapons. And so this is where you're going to see buzzwords that they put in the citation or on the witness stand saying high crime area, drug activity, appeared nervous, sweating, or they can look at they can do a quick background check on them to see if they've had any weapons charges in the past. And so not only does this extend to the individual person, but it also extends to the car as well. And in Michigan v. Long, it kind of has the same principles except for a car frisk where the officer is allowed to get everybody out of the car, look around the car in areas that are immediately accessible to the person that could be carrying a weapon. And so if you're keeping track at home, Jay-Z's done a couple very smart things and a couple very dumb things. And so The dumb is that he shouldn't be driving around with kilos of cocaine in the car. And then also, he shouldn't be refusing to get out of the car when the officer directs him to do so. That's going to turn out bad. The really smart things that he's doing is he did not self-incriminate himself when asked, do you know why I pulled you out of, or do you know why I stopped you? He said, I don't know. And then the second thing is he didn't run for it. He did pull over and stop. Well, do you mind if I look around the car a little bit? And so this statement is all about consent. And consent is one of the biggest reasons why people lose out on their Fourth Amendment rights to get evidence suppressed, is because for whatever reason, whether they feel as if they don't have a choice, or whether they feel as if they feel pressured, or it's the right thing to do, or whatever it may be, officers are trained to look for and get consent, whether it be verbal or written consent. And that's going to preclude any Fourth Amendment challenge to say that his rights were illegal, or his rights were violated by an illegal search. And so that's why here in the second, he's going to say, well, my glove compartment is locked, so is the trunk in the back. I know my rights. You're going to need a warrant for that. So he's not giving consent, which is what you should do, or you should not give consent. But here's again where there's a little flaw in what he's saying. So he says, my glove compartment is locked, so is the trunk in the back. You're going to need a warrant for that. Well, that is just not the case. Case law is very clear that a car has a different expectation of privacy than a home. Whereas a home, you're going to need a warrant. A car, you're going to have a little less expectation of privacy. And so you do not need a warrant for that. In fact, all you need is probable cause that a crime has been committed in the car. And so what I mean by that is, for instance, if the officer comes, and this is where you see plain smell marijuana a lot, where the officer will walk up to the car and say, I immediately smell burnt marijuana smell. Well, that in and of itself would give an officer probable cause to search the vehicle regardless of whether you have a warrant or not. And so if the line probably should be, I know my rights, you're going to need some probable cause for that. It doesn't necessarily sound as good, though. But well, aren't you sharp as a tack? He's some type of lawyer or something, somebody important or something. Well, I ain't past the bar, but I know a little bit enough to know you won't legally search my shit. So this is where a good criminal defense attorney comes into play. We're not there at the scene. We're not there when the search is happening. But you are either being recorded or you are doing the recording. And so based on the recording, the police statements, the evidence that the officer give on the stand during a suppression issue, those are the type of things that we're going to look for on any suppression issue to see if your rights were violated. And so if you get a knowledgeable, experienced attorney that has had experience dealing with suppression issues, that's what you're going to need to do to file the right motions to get the evidence suppressed. And if they don't have the evidence, well, they don't have a case against you. Well, let's see how smart you are when the canine come. And so there's a lot of case law on canines coming to the scene. But without talking for hours on the subject, the basics are this. They cannot prolong the stop without additional reasonable and articulable suspicion to get a canine there. So, for instance, situation. You pull somebody over for speeding, and you're in the process of doing the traffic ticket, where you go back to your car, run their ID, run their plates, write the citation, come back to the car. If in that period you complete that those tasks and a canine hasn't came to the car yet, then that is ripe grounds to get the anything that they find with the canine suppressed, because at that point you've been unconstitutionally prolonged the traffic stop. Now, the officer also has to diligently pursue the investigation. They can't just sit there and wait and dilly-dally a little bit until and just kind of delay until you get a canine there. They have to diligently pursue. Those are the buzzwords. And so, but if the officer in that initial interaction has new reasonable and articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed in the car, and you always go back to the plain smell of marijuana, then that in and of itself gives the officer justification to call the canine. And so that's I put it this way. If you are smoking marijuana in your car, you might as well just put a big big sign or a flashing light saying, "Search my car," because that's what's going to happen. And so, in conclusion, smoking weed in your car gives the officer probable cause to search it. They don't need a warrant. Never consent to any search on the of your car, and also never give the officer probable cause whenever they do ask the question, "Why did I pull you over?" And so, don't minimize. And so, if you enjoyed this video, we ask that you like it, share it, and just thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions whatsoever, please give us a call at 859-259-0727. Thanks.